Okay, so one, President Donald J. Trump made some comments that some feel were disparaging and others feel were great about the United States eventually taking control of and or owning the Gaza Strip. So let's see what this thing here is about.
So, who knew President Trump actually means what he says, no matter what his top officials say he means? Case in point tonight, his plan to take over Gaza. Tuesday, he laid it out. Americans would take control, turn it into what he described as a Middle East Riviera, and send the 2 million Palestinians who live there to Egypt, Jordan, and or several other unspecified places. Caitlin Collins asked who would end up living in the Gaza Strip in the newly refurbished Riviera. And he said the world's people, Palestinians included, when asked, and the U.S. would have what he called a long-term ownership position. Now, Wednesday, the people around him said, no, that's not his plan. Secretary of State Rubio described a completely different kind of plan, a kind of a tear down and refurb plan for Palestinians.
So what he's very generously has offered is the ability of the United States to go in and help with debris removal, help with munitions removal, help with reconstruction, the rebuilding homes and businesses and things of this nature, so that then people can move back in.
As we pointed out last night, that's really not what the president said. And today on social media, he confirmed it, quoting now from his lengthy post, quote, the Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. Unclear. So I guess the ceasefire would be done. There'd be a new war. And at the conclusion of that war, then his tweet continued, the Palestinian people, like Chuck Schumer's not Palestinian, but the Palestinians, people like Chuck Schumer, Palestinians, comma, people like Chuck Schumer, comma, he's not Palestinian, would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes, comma, in the region.
Okay, let's try and say this. For the Palestinian or people who are living in Gaza, the reality is, I'm not sure if they or people are really aware of this. Obviously, what happened there, what is happening there, is a tragedy of epic proportions. No doubt, there's a lot of heinous acts that we've seen by the social media, and for the things we haven't seen or that we don't know, I'm sure even worse is going on. But let's say this, and let's be clear: you're not. There's never going to be a state of Palestine alongside a state of Israel. That is a fallacy. That is a misnomer. That is a pipe dream. That is a misconstruing of reality. It is not going to happen. It isn't. It's just not. And you should know that yourselves, people of Arab descent, uh, especially those who claim to be Muslim, who claim to know the hadith of the end times, Akhir Zaman, followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all these wonderful, beautiful, and amazing things, right? Yet you should know that this is going to happen. They're going to win. You're going to be cleansed if you stay there, and that's just it. You're going to be humiliated. You're going to be disgraced. You'll be disfigured, right? Whatever the case may be. There will be no state of Palestine there until and after the return of Jesus, the Son of Mary, right? Then the situation will turn around. Until then, there's nothing for you. You got nothing coming. But boots alongside your head, cuffs on your wrists, prisons, bombs, and whatever else the case may be. So here's the truth. You're better off leaving. If you want to stay and fight and die, so be it. You want to die, you want to be buried next to your grandfathers, you want to say, this is my land, I'm not going anywhere, I'll bleed and die for my land, great. That's fine. But for those of you with common sense who have families and who wish to have some degree of upward mobility in life, it is not going to be there. And you need to start thinking clearly and exercising other options. Otherwise, you're just food at a table being passed around at a banquet. That's essentially what this conversation is. So after this, a Democrat from the House decides this is a heinous statement, one President Trump. We are going to file, or I rather, am going to file articles of impeachment against you, and I've done that before successfully in the past, and I'm going to do it again. So let's take a look at what he has to say. Representative Al Green, and no, I don't think it's the old school soul singer.
And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such things to be said. Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down. The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people demand it, it will be done. I did it before. I laid the foundation for impeachment, and it was done. Nobody knows more about it than I. And I know that it's time for us to lay the foundation again. On some issues, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. On this issue, I stand alone, but I stand for justice. I yield.
Okay. So he's upset, clearly, that Trump said what he said, and he considers that an ethnic cleansing and it's crimes against humanity. And as he said, Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Now, there's plenty of injustice going around in this world. Let me believe you. Believe you me. Especially right here in the United States. Even though one can argue we have more options, more opportunities than a lot of people, and fair enough. Truth be told, though, there's plenty of injustice to go around. Just you can pretty much throw a dart at the map, and you'll find plenty to deal with. Now, here's the thing: I don't make light of the issues that Palestinian people, Gaza people are going through. It's just that the reality is you're not gonna win. You know, you've been. It's over 100 years. This issue has been up in the air, and obviously the Arab world is not interested. The Arab League is not interested. The OIC, this organization, the organizations of Islamic countries, are not interested. The greater Islamic world, rather they're in the OIC or the Arab League or not, are not interested. Other countries are not interested. So what are you going to do? You're literally living in a refugee camp. You don't have statehood, right? You're this weird in between thing with a special name for you, even a Palestinian Authority. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? And then there's all kinds of checkpoints, roadblocks. You're living like You're in an open air prison, and for what? In the name of what? Now, if anyone thinks that the Palestinians can launch some type of a meaningful military campaign against the United States, basically, let's be clear. The United States is fully backing, undergirding, underpinning the state of Israel. So are the Palestinian people alone, not with other Arab states, not with other Islamic states, not with other human states of any sort, going to launch and wage some kind of David and Goliath campaign? I mean, that would be a great story, certainly. But I think in order to qualify for David-like strength against this Goliath, this behemoth of a force called the State of Israel, you're going to have to be on the right path. And I don't see the Palestinian governing forces or most of its people, for that matter, to be on the right path. They're deeply misguided. Their strategy, how this whole thing has played out over the last century, it's foolishness. Now, I know nobody wants to say leave, go somewhere else, go live this way or that way, but that's reality. You know what I mean? What do you really want to do? What do you really think is going to happen? It's the reality. You got to go, right? Or you can stay, right? And we can continue to watch these videos about how you're inhumanely treated, right? War crimes, right? Blah blah blah. They're killing your kids. They're bombing your schools. They're bombing your hospitals. Everyone in the world has just sat and watched in their living room. Oh my God, how heinous these acts are. Oh, let me turn away. But did anyone send any force to come and help you? How about all the prayers that I know you were shooting out? I'm sure some of you were answered and miracles did happen, no doubt. And for the men who died fighting and protecting what was theirs, bravo, I salute you. I'm all about freedom. I really am. This thing, though, it's a lost cause. Get out while you can. So, I mean, if Trump were to do that, I mean, is it going to be a resort for, the world's people? Yeah. Are you going to be there? No. I mean, your best bet would be to get, if some of you in the positions of authority there had sense, would be to try to negotiate with the man and say, hey, just take the shit. Let me get U.S. nationality. Let my people get U.S. nationality. We'll leave. We don't want to go and live in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, none of this. They'll mistreat us. We'll be second-class citizens. We'll be permanently barred for life from their society. Our IDs will scar us for the next 100 years if we live there, and know that that's going to be the case, right? I mean, Jordan, they're not going to last long. I mean, they're the writing's on the wall for them anyhow. So going to Jordan really won't help you. Egypt won't last long. Right, they're next, right? Because the biblical foundations of the state of Israel will be laid. Nothing is going to prevent that. So that's from the east of the Nile River, right? For those of you who are there and you're Egyptian and you think you're going to stay there, think again. And the west of the Euphrates, for anyone who lives there and thinks that they're going to remain there, think again. This is going to happen. And you need to know that, you need to understand that, and you need to plan and act accordingly. And for those who believe and know that this is wrong, like myself, I most certainly do. But at the same time, I've been around long enough to know that no one is coming, right? If no one came for all of the stuff that we just saw, all the videos, all the insanity that occurred to what was happening to people in the Gaza Strip, and no one came, nothing stopped it. Supposedly there's a ceasefire or whatever, and this whole stage play played out with hostage exchanges or whatever. That's all nonsense. That's all curated. No one's coming. And if you think you're gonna come out of that, you're gonna go back to your homes, you're gonna start to rebuild again, you just want to live in peace. No, that is not how it goes. And all of you should know that, who are dealing with this particular thing. It's done. Start thinking other options. Your best bet would be to try to negotiate for U.S. nationality. Get the hell out of there. Build your life. If you can get some money together and go back and live with some people somewhere in the world, so be it. You want to try to come back a millennium later, a century later, not a millennium, a century later, decade or two later, maybe. You know what I mean? You could try to fight for a claim, but right now it's a lost cause.